All right, happy Friday, everybody. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles. Now, my name is Chase Sr. Hope you're all having a great day and getting set to have a fantastic weekend. It is Eagles-Packers week. Eagles-Packers in the wild card round coming up on Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. Cannot wait for that game. The playoff juices are flowing, and we've given you so much great coverage all throughout the week, and that's going to continue with this show on this January 10th. Here's what I'm getting into here. Jalen Hurts has officially cleared concussion protocol. Philadelphia's made even more roster moves. 6 Eagles named All-Pros, including Zack Baun, who is named Pro Football Focus's Breakout Player of the Year. We have an injury update on A.J. Brown and an injury update on DeVonta Smith. Before we do all of that, let me cover my bases here. We are 74 people away from 98,000 subscribers. My goal all week, and we've picked up a lot of subs over the last couple of days, is to get to 98K before Sunday's game. No fancy graphics to show you that, but I'm telling you right now. So let's get there with this video. If you want daily and year-round coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles, that's informative, insightful, entertaining, thought-provoking, hit that sub button and join us for our watch party on Sunday, going live with an hour-and-a-half pregame show, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. Then once the game gets underway, the best place to experience an Eagles game day outside of being at the actual game. Live play-by-play, audience interaction. Some people say my play-by-play better than the Fox broadcast. I don't know. That's just what the people are telling me. We have some Super Chat giveaways, and then we'll recap everything with a post-game show all about that audience interaction. So it's basically like going to a bar or sitting on the couch with a bunch of Eagles fans. So lock us in. Hit that subscribe button on Sunday. If we get to 98K before the game, I think that we can get to 100,000 subs during that ball game. Also want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Game Time. If you want to go to Eagles-Packers, be a part of that playoff environment, download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS. Last minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. Thanks to Game Time Picks, it's a great feature that allows you to get the best seats instead of having to go through thousands of tickets. I love the user interface on the app because you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Be sure to toggle the all-in pricing tool, therefore you don't get hit with surprise fees at checkout. I know a lot of people who downloaded the Game Time app to go to the Orange Bowl between Penn State and Notre Dame, a heartbreaker for the Nittany Lions. I thought they outplayed and were better than Notre Dame, but still lost on that last-second field goal. That Drew Aller pick was just brutal, but Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen, they were beasts. James Franklin should have ran it a little bit more. And Abdul Carter might be my favorite player in the NFL draft. If you want to go to Texas, Ohio State at the Cotton Bowl, download the Game Time app if you're in the Dallas area. So last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Use the code CHATSPORTS. Terms apply. First purchase only. We appreciate Game Time for making today's show possible. Let's begin with the latest around Jalen Hurts. He is officially cleared the 5-step concussion protocol, sequence, and plan. Obviously, the NFL has put this in place over the last several years. Very strict protocol. And we had an indication that things were moving in the right direction, because Hurts practiced officially in a limited capacity on Wednesday for the first time since suffering that concussion in Week 16 against the Washington Commanders. And then he practiced again yesterday on Thursday. He was a full participant. A good sign that he practiced on back-to-back days, and then his status was upgraded from him being limited to being a full participant. Nick Sirianni saying today as he addressed the media, quote, "He's had a good week of practice, really good week." And prior to that, even after the Wednesday session, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson saying that Hurts looked very, very crisp. I know that Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee did a great job in filling in, continuing this wonderful backup quarterback history for Philadelphia in the last 2 games of the season against Dallas and against the Giants. But those quarterbacks are not Jalen Hurts. This offense runs through him. This offense is more dangerous with Hurts at that quarterback spot. And he's played well in the playoffs outside of the 2 Buccaneers games. And so Philadelphia, 4.5, 5.5 point favorites in this game against Green Bay at home, depending on which books you look at. Eagles opened up as 3.5 point favorites, so a lot of money coming in on Philadelphia, and that money has increased with the outlook for Hurts becoming more and more positive. As for the Eagles' roster moves here, offensive lineman Jack Driscoll placed on injured reserve. Offensive lineman Brett Toth was signed from the practice squad to the active roster. And then wide receiver Joe Ngata has been signed to the practice squad. Driscoll was unexpectedly added to Thursday's injury report with an ankle issue. Apparently, that practice injury is serious enough to the point where he won't be able to play again this year. Toth was considered a candidate to make the 53-man roster this year since he was getting some consistent first-team reps in offseason practices. Instead, he spent the season on the Eagles practice squad, but he does have the versatility to play multiple positions along that offensive line. And then Ngata was originally deemed, or called, I should say, Joseph Ngata. He's now going by Joe. He was signed by the Eagles as an undrafted rookie free agent following the 2023 NFL Draft. Spent 2023 on the practice squad, competed for a roster spot during training camp and in the preseason. Wasn't as good in training camp and in the preseason this year, I thought, as he was last year. Not fleet of foot, not fast, but a big-bodied wide receiver who linked up a lot with Tanner McKee in the preseason the last 2 years, but had some drops in the preseason this year, was waived/injured in late August. Now he's rejoining the Eagles on their practice squad. Some exciting news here for fans and for these players and for this team, especially the coaching staff, given the development that they put in, the coaching that they put in, but also for this front office with their scouting and evaluations. 6 Eagles have been named to All-Pro teams, and these are the AP All-Pro selections that really matter. 2 Eagles on the first team, Saquon Barkley and Zack Baun. 4 Eagles earning second-team All-Pro honors, A.J. Brown, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Jalen Carter. And I had said to everybody, even though A.J. Brown and Jordan Mailata were not Pro Bowlers, that's based upon fan votes, I thought they had opportunities to be named All-Pros, and they have been named All-Pros. For Saquon Barkley, easy. He's able to get past Derrick Henry. He beat him out in rushing yards per game. 2,005 rushing yards this year, a truly magical and sensational season for him, becoming the 9th player all-time in the history of the NFL to run for more than 2,000 yards in a single season. He beat Shady McCoy's record set several weeks ago for the most rushing yards in a single season in franchise history. For Zack Baun, going to spend some more moments talking about him here coming up in just a few moments, but what an incredible signing by Howie Roseman. Vetman had never played off-ball linebacker. Howie signs him as an off-ball guy. Vic Fangio develops him as an off-ball linebacker to the point where he's an all-pro first team alongside Fred Warner, who's going to be a future Hall of Famer, who in his own right is a 4-time all-pro, 3 straight first-team All-Pro honors. Incredible year for Zack Baun. I'd say maybe the defensive MVP, him and Jalen Carter. And then those players earning second-team honors, A.J. Brown, more than 1,000 yards. Missed some time, so his number's down a little bit. Eye test tells you, though, top 5 wide receiver in the game. Jordan Mailata, one of the highest-graded players in the league, according to Pro Football Focus. Surprised that he wasn't a first-team guy. How was Lane Johnson, not a first-team All-Pro. And then Jalen Carter, a lot of competition there at that defensive tackle spot. But year 2, second-team All-Pro, he can continue to develop into one of the best players in the NFL. I thought this was a cool gesture. So Elliott Shore-Parks took a picture of this because there was media availability today at the NovaCare Complex. And somebody taped on Lane Johnson's locker an all-pro comparison between Lane Johnson and Penei Sewell, who was named a first-team all-pro. Sacks allowed, Lane, 0. Sewell, 1. Quarterback hits allowed, 1 for Lane, 5 for Sewell. Quarterback hurries, 9 for Lane, 22 for Sewell. Pressures allowed, 10 for Lane, 28 for Sewell. Pass block win rate, 94% Lane, 91% Sewell. Island rate, 75% Lane, first. 55% Sewell, 58th. Quarterback time to throw, 3.13 seconds, Lane. 2.79, Sewell. Run block win rate, 80% Lane. Sewell, not ranked. Team rushing yards, 3,048 for the Eagles, 2,488 for the Lions. Lane Johnson throughout his career, year in, year out, has been the best right tackle in the game. He's going to go down as one of the best right tackles in the history of football. Yet, he still gets disrespected and under-recognized for how dominant he is. Now, part of that is due to Lane getting bopped for that PED suspension several years ago at this point. But come on now. He's not on PEDs now, and year in, year out continues to play at an all-world level. And sometimes with these all-pro selections, it's like, oh, we got to give it to Sewell. You know, he hasn't gotten enough recognition and accolades. Lane, he's already gotten his. How about you just go with the better player? These things have contract implications, and they're important for a player's Hall of Fame resume. Lane Johnson should be a first-team All-Pro. Whoever taped that on Lane's locker, that's awesome. And hopefully he comes out just mauling cats against Green Bay. As for Zack Baun, breakout player of the year according to Pro Football Focus. He could win Defensive Player of the Year, honestly. Probably won't, but should be in the running for it. He should be top 5. And there isn't a better player to be the breakout player of the year. Here's what PFF had to say. The then 27-year-old searched for a fresh start with the Philadelphia Eagles, signing a 1-year prove-it deal with Philadelphia, worth $3.5 million. And with the fate of his career likely hanging in the balance, Baun delivered a career year and then some. 656 snaps in the box for Vic Fangio's defense as an off-ball linebacker, 533 more than any of his seasons in New Orleans. The move paid off as Baun finished as the league's highest-graded linebacker with a 90.1 PFF grade. From weeks 8 to 10, he was the NFL's highest-graded defender with a 93.7 grade across those 3 games. The once elite collegiate pass rusher was actually outstanding when dropping back into coverage. His 91.6 coverage grade was over 3 points higher than the next closest linebacker and 3-time All-Pro, now 4-time All-Pro, Fred Warner. Baun's 29 coverage stops were also 5 more than the next closest defender, regardless of position. Still made plenty of plays downhill for the Eagles as well, sacking the quarterback 2.5 times while tying for second among all linebackers with 13 tackles for loss/no gain. Baun finished as the second most valuable linebacker in the league this year, according to PFF's wins above replacement metric, trailing only a future Hall of Famer in Bobby Wagner. Howie Roseman, what a signing. Identifying the player. Vic Fangio identifying him too as a player who could be an off-ball guy. You know, when the Eagles added Baun to the team, we thought that maybe he was going to be in that Andrew Van Ginkel role because Vic Fangio used him so well last year, Van Ginkel with the Dolphins, and he was one of the best pass rushers in the game. Nah. Fangio, with his linebacker history and developmental skills, turns him into an off-ball guy and maybe the best off-ball linebacker in the game this year and a first-team All-Pro for $3.5 million. It's really unbelievable. As for A.J. Brown, returned to practice on Friday, didn't practice on Wednesday, Thursday. DeVonta Smith did not practice on Friday, dealing with some back issues. Both players expected to play in this game against Green Bay. And that's obviously important for this Eagles passing game with Jalen Hurts coming back. You know, the more I think about this Eagles-Packers game, I know the Packers are really feisty, but I think about what some of the sharps in the betting industry have said. They're taking the Eagles -4.5, -5.5. The Eagles have beaten 5 playoff teams this year. The Packers have beaten 2, the Rams and the Texans, but I don't think those teams were above 500 when the Packers played them. Eagles are hot. The Packers are not. The more I think about this game, the more I think it could be a lot like the divisional round game in 2022 against the Giants, where that game was over pretty much at halftime. I hope I'm right. I don't really want to have to deal with the stress of a close game coming down to the wire. If the Eagles play clean, if they play up to their standard, they should win this game, and I think that they can win it handily. This has been Eagles Now here on Friday, January 10th. Thanks for watching the show. Great coverage to come all throughout the weekend. So keep it locked here on Eagles Now. Let's get the 98K.